Hello there, you're watching All 24 World News program live from Algiers. These are today's headlines. Algerian president addressed the nation in a message on the occasion of the double anniversary of founding General Union of Algerian Workers and the nationalization of hydrocarbon sector. Algeria affirms its central role as a strategic player in the reliable supplies of international energy markets. Also ahead, Algeria affirms its central role as a strategic player in the reliable supplies of international energy markets. The number of victims of Zionist aggression in the West Bank has increased, and Algeria strongly condemned the barbaric aggression against the Palestinians. Also ahead in our news, today marks the one-year anniversary of the war in Ukraine with no signs of a way out of the conflict. Hello again and welcome to the program. First in our topical news, in his message on the occasion of the double anniversary of the founding of the General Union of Algerian Workers and the nationalization of the hydrocarbon sector, Algerian President Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune said that the memory nourishes the determination to maintain unity in a volatile world in which it faces the repercussions of the fluctuations of the current regional and international situation and the challenges of confronting the hostile schemes targeting Algeria. President Tebboune also affirmed in his message that he will harness the country's potential and its material and human capabilities and mobilize state institutions in order to achieve strategic goals, foremost of which is building a strong, modern economy based on transparency and competitiveness, launching initiatives and ideas to create wealth and jobs while preserving social character of the state. Algerian head of state stressed that recalling the memory of the nationalization of hydrocarbon sector comes to confirm winning the bet to continue production and raise oil and gas production capabilities, with which Algeria's role in the oil and gas market was strengthened at the regional and international levels, praising the highly qualified Algerian human resources in this vital sector. President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, received on Thursday in Algiers the Speaker of the National Assembly of the Republic of Kenya, Moses Wetangula. The meeting was attended on the Algerian side by Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Mtala Mamra, and Principal Private Secretary to the Presidency, Mr. Abdelaziz Khalaf, and on the Kenyan side, Ambassador to Algeria, Peter Katana Angori. Algerian Premier Mr. Ayman bin Abdurrahman supervised on Thursday the inauguration of the Separation and Compression Center in the outskirts of Hassi Katara in the southern province of Hassi Masoud as part of the celebration of the double anniversary of the nationalization of hydrocarbons and the creation of the General Union of Algerian Workers, UGTA. In this respect, bin Abdurrahman affirmed Algeria's central role as a strategic player in the reliable supplies of international energy markets.
ولا يخفى على أحد أن الجزائر تمتلك قدرات هائلة.
Algeria has demonstrated amidst the current geopolitical situation, especially the Russian-Ukraine crisis, its central role in fulfilling its commitment to supplying international markets with energy as it increased its natural gas exports and covered the needs of the international markets, notably the European market, in parallel with the sector's set objectives aimed at increasing the quantities of exported gas on the medium run and seeking new markets that allows it to impose itself as a global strategic energy supplier on account of the capabilities and incentives it has in exploiting these resources.
Algerian PM also spoke about Algeria's energy production capacities and its ambitions to strengthen its ranks as a world leader in energy industries. Let's take a listen.
ولا يخفى على أحد أن الجزائر تمتلك قدرات هائلة في مجال.
It's no secret that Algeria has a great capacity in the energy field that allows it to occupy a prominent place in this sector. Being the largest producer of natural gas in Africa and the third supplier of gas to Europe, which is considered the most important market for the Algerian gas, this explains the strong relations and the permanent dialogue between Algeria and its counterparts from the gas-consuming countries, such as the EU countries, with the aim of reinforcing energy security and promoting renewable energies and the energy efficiency.
Mr. Ben Abdurrahman called on national and international economic operators to invest in the Algerian energy sector and recalled Algeria's commitment to promoting a fair and smooth energy and environmental transition.
On this occasion, we reiterate our invitation to all national and foreign companies and operators in the hydrocarbons sector to take advantage of investment opportunities and work together to increase our productive capacities in hydrocarbons in order to achieve common interests and guarantee energy security for both sides, as well as advance towards a fair and smooth energy transition as part of sustainable development. In this respect, a roadmap was adopted to develop hydrocarbon sector, including green hydrogen, to integrate it in the global dynamic linked to the energy and environmental transition.
Algeria is revealing a huge plan for investment in renewable energies as it is investing with a budget of 20 to 25 billion US dollars for the exploitation of green hydrogen. Algerian authorities are betting on the development of the hydrogen sector in order to provide complementary energy solutions. Algeria commemorates the 52nd anniversary of nationalization of oil and gas with the inauguration of a new energy facility that aims to boost the country's oil and gas production and promote it within international standards. Marwa Belaiwer in this report.
On the 52nd anniversary of hydrocarbons nationalization, Algeria celebrates this occasion with an inauguration of a new energy facility, the Separation and Compression Center Hassi Qattara, a new infrastructure that will improve oil production. Hassi Qattara Crude Oil Processing Center, a project worth more than $1 billion, is a facility within structure to reinforce Algerian production and improve flow operations with a daily production capacity of more than 60,000 barrels per day and more than 4 million cubic meters of gas. It also works on recovering associated petroleum gas resulting from the separation process. The grassroots crude oil refinery will produce hydrocarbon derivatives such as gas, oil, and gasoline, as well as butane and propane gas with international standards. The strategic complex is equipped with wastewater treatment technology as it will be extracted and then re-injected into wells. It also enables recovering all flared gas and exploiting it in transportation networks in order for it to be promoted locally and internationally. Algeria's state-owned Sonatrach is the owner and the operator of the oil refinery facility, Hassi Qattara. The giant group is aiming to boost Algeria's oil and gas production through the recovery of flared gas by boosting its commercial valuation as it is one of its commitments to preserve environment. The new investment, considered to be the largest oil fields in Africa, is set to maximize Algerian hydrocarbons production and dedicate Sonatrach's efforts to go towards green energy facilities and achieve carbon neutrality goals.
Algeria is preparing to establish 5 free trade zones in the medium and long terms, while completing the legal and regulatory framework for the new spaces that are expected to be created through the main border crossings of the country. Algeria has taken into account the nature of each free zone, the financing method that must be adopted, and the state's contribution in the field of public utility networks preparation. During a visit to the headquarters of the Tunisian company for pharmaceutical industries, Tunisian President Mr. Kais Saied renewed his country's pride in its belonging to the African continent, noting that Paid and foreign agents aim to strike the Tunisian state through frenzied campaigns.
The cabals orchestrated by missionaries and agents from abroad, as well as occult circles who seek to destabilize the country, are currently talking about issues related to Africa, while we took it upon ourselves during the COVID-19 crisis to ensure the availability and disruption of medicines, and we are proud to belong to Africa.
In Tunisia still, President Said called on judges to assume their historical responsibility in the face of the corruption that his country is currently facing.
I have decided to come here to show to the Tunisian people that money is there, but there is a will to disrupt any project to get out of the situation in which we have been struggling for decades. There is a need to hold all those responsible for this accountable, whatever their position might be.
To a different story now, a report of Policy Department for Citizens' Rights and Constitutional Affairs of the European Union revealed that the phone of the former UN envoy to the Italian Sahel and Sahara region, Mr. Romano Prodi, was exposed to spying through the Pegasus program, indicating that all suspicions are directed towards the Moroccan intelligence services. It's worth mentioning that French BFM TV network announced the dismissal of Moroccan journalist Rachid Moubaraki after broadcasting false news reports biased towards Moroccan occupation of Western Sahara. Coordination of Resistance to Zionism and Normalization organized the annual online forum to declare 2023 the year of anti-normalization. Many scholars, personalities, and artists who reject normalization with the entity in all its forms were present in the forum. The Moroccan participation drew more popular anger in the kingdom after rejecting normalization and seeking support for the Palestinians.
ونحن نرى اليوم ما يسمى قمة النقب الخيانية رقم 2.
Today we see what is called the treasonous Negev Summit No. 2, which is scheduled to be organized in Morocco. Our foreign minister promoted the first Negev. The main reason of the postponement of this summit, according to the Hebrew media, is that the Zionist entity with the new government of Netanyahu has disturbed and embarrassed the normalization capitals, including Morocco, which faces a series of wide scandals, such as Zionist liaison office statements on behalf of the king against raising the Palestinian flag during the World Cup.
Algeria strongly condemned the barbaric aggression perpetrated by the Zionist occupation forces against the Palestinians in the northern West Bank city of Nablus, killing 11 martyrs and wounding scores of people, and called on the intervention of the international community and the UN Security Council to urgently put an end to the dangerous escalation against the defenseless Palestinian people.
Algeria strongly condemns the barbaric aggression perpetrated on Wednesday by the Zionist occupying forces against the Palestinians in Nablus, causing several martyrs and many injuries. Expressing its sincere condolences and compassion to the Palestinian brothers, leaders, government and people, Algeria calls on the international community and the UN Security Council to intervene immediately to stop the dangerous escalation imposed by the Zionist forces and to ensure effective international protection for the Palestinian people. Algeria reiterates its constant solidarity and support for the Palestinian people so that it recovers its legitimate rights, notably its right to the establishment of an independent state with Al-Quds as its capital.
Businesses, schools, and other facilities were closed, and most forms of an ordinary weekday stood still in the West Bank, Al-Quds, and the Gaza Strip on Thursday, a day after 11 Palestinians were killed during a Zionist aggression in the occupied West Bank. Here's Mohammed Khalid.
Palestinians stage a general strike in protest of the violations and exactions perpetrated by the Zionist barbaric occupation against the innocent and defenseless Palestinian people. Some Palestinians consider it a day of mourning, while others consider it a move reflecting solidarity.
We are staging a general strike today in Al-Quds due to the massacre that was carried out yesterday by the occupation forces in Nablus. The Palestinian people are suffering a lot, especially with the new leadership of the occupation.
This came as worldwide condemnations were voiced following the raid in which 11 Palestinians were martyred and scores of others wounded. The Arab League Council today condemned the Israeli crimes and demanded the provision of international protection to the Palestinian people. The Council convened an extraordinary meeting at the permanent representative level in Cairo to discuss the ongoing deadly Israeli army incursions across the occupied West Bank. The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres called for an immediate end to the Israeli settlements in occupied Palestinian territories as a major roadblock on the way to peace. For his part, U.S. State Department spokesman Ned Price said that his country is extremely concerned by the level of violence in the West Bank, adding that a raid by the Israeli forces there could set back efforts at restoring calm.
Our overarching priority is to preserve the viability of a negotiated two-state solution to the conflict. Only with a negotiated two-state solution will the Palestinians be able to achieve their legitimate aspirations for sovereignty, independence, and freedom in a state of their own, living side by side.
Meanwhile, Zionist warplanes attacked on Thursday 2 locations in the besieged Gaza Strip, causing damage to buildings but without causing any casualties, according to Palestinian Wafa news agency.
And in a related context, Palestinian Foreign Minister Mr. Riyad al-Maliki announced on Wednesday that his country had requested emergency meetings of the UN Security Council, the League of Arab States, and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation to provide international protection for the Palestinian people against Zionist crimes. Palestine also requested the convening of an emergency meeting of the Council of the Arab League at the level of delegates, and another emergency meeting of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation with the aim of collective and individual condemnation of the occupation massacres. To a different story now. Today marks the one-year anniversary of the beginning of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, a year that was marked with several major events that has changed the political landscape in the world. Nabil Khazini in this report.
Exactly 1 year ago, that was the moment that had changed the world. The Russian forces advancing towards Ukraine was the beginning for a new era. An era for Vladimir Putin that was inevitable, unavoidable and necessary, justified by Western acts towards Russia and towards Russia's own security.
Мною принято решение о проведении специальной военной операции. Ее цель – защита людей, которые на протяжении 8 лет подвергаются издевательствам, геноциду со стороны киевского режима.
In Kiev, this was the morning call, a clear message that the old peaceful days have gone.
Захищаємо нашу незалежність, нашу державу. І так буде й далі. Слава нашим захисникам, слава нашим захисницям. Слава Україні! Слава!
From that day on, countless of missiles and bombs have started to rain down on an entire country. Day after day, more people were killed, more buildings were turned into ruins, and millions of citizens were displaced. It is a war and an emergency that has shaken the West and the world order.
The Russian military has begun a brutal assault on the people of Ukraine. Without provocation, without justification, without necessity, this is a premeditated attack.
Just over a year after the beginning of the war in Ukraine, there are still no real signs of a way out of the conflict, and progress at the negotiation table seems just unlikely.
The United Nations General Assembly is voting on a resolution calling for peace in Ukraine, as Kiev hopes to obtain the broadest possible support for the resolution it proposed to the UN body at a time when Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky asserts that his country will win the war amid Russian warnings of Ukraine targeting areas in Moldova.
Ladies and gentlemen, never in recent history has the line between good and evil has been so clear. One country merely wants to live in peace, and I represent that country. The other wants to kill and destroy, and it has its representatives too. There is no other country in the world that wants peace as much as Ukraine does. We never wanted war. We never planned to attack anyone. Our troops do not stand on anyone else's land.
China's foreign ministry has denied reports of alleged arms supplies to Russia and criticized Washington for continuously making far-fetched accusations against Beijing, hindering the settlement in Ukraine and potentially harming relations between China and the US. Here is Hassan Burkan.
Amid the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, China has been calling for peace and negotiations since the beginning of the conflict. However, the United States, which is the largest supplier of weapons to Ukraine, has been making baseless allegations against China. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Wang Wenbin emphasized that such statements not only interfere with the process of political settlement on the Ukrainian crisis, but also further damage Sino-US relations. The Chinese Foreign Ministry has dismissed all false claims of the U.S. stating that China is considering providing arms and ammunition to Russia in its war against Ukraine. Wang Wenbin stated that the U.S. intelligence is speculating and slandering China, and it is the United States, not China, that is endlessly shipping weapons to the battlefield.
The United States, as the largest arms provider on the battlefield of Ukraine, keeps smearing the Chinese side for possibly supplying arms to the Russian side, which will not only interfere with the process of a political settlement on the Ukrainian crisis, but also further damage the Sino-US relations. We urge the US side to stop smearing, relegating responsibilities, and adding fuel to the fire irresponsibly, and to work with China and the international community to promote diplomatic negotiations to resolve the crisis.
China has been consistent in its stance of maintaining peace and stability in the region and urged all parties to resolve their differences through peaceful means. This comes as Russia-Ukraine conflict is reaching 1 year. The conflict continues to take a terrible toll. Neither Russia nor Ukraine has officially released casualty figures, but both countries are believed to have suffered huge losses on the battlefield.
Here's a reminder of today's top stories. Algerian president addressed the nation in a message on the occasion of the double anniversary of founding General Union of Algerian Workers and the nationalization of hydrocarbons. Algeria affirms its central role as a strategic player in the reliable supplies of international energy markets. The number of victims of Zionist aggression in the West Bank has increased, and Algeria strongly condemns the barbaric aggression against the Palestinians. And today marks the one-year anniversary of the war in Ukraine, with no signs of a way out of the conflict. Well, that's it for today's news. For more, you can always visit our social media platforms. From me and the rest of the team, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.